What's going on YouTube? Adachi here, and today we're finally looking at Black Beacon. Sorry, it took longer than I expected, a lot of story to get through that I didn't want to skip, and a lot of modes locked behind the story as well. So the rundown of what this game is about: you are an amnesiac person, how original, that takes over leadership over a secret society, and some pretty dope shit happens. The story is surprisingly good. Now, I thought the premise already was pretty great, but truly surprised by how well written the story is, especially the story revolving around Darius. I thought he was really well acted and written.
The stars, they appear so distant, yet shine so brightly.
Your Majesty, Farhad requests an audience.
It is you, my most courageous servant. How does the wine taste at the celebration?
My only real gripe with the story is how much of it there is at times feeling like a visual novel rather than an action game, as a lot of segments are 5% gameplay and 95% story. I would have just liked more of a mix of this, and I felt like this balance did improve a little bit later into the story. Speaking of, before I get into the gameplay, I want to talk about the setting you'll be playing in. Now, this is minor spoilers, but based on the first few chapters, I thought the entire game might be confined to the Tower of Babel, but to my delight, it also gets into other areas, and definitely seems like you can expect more diverse settings down the road. Now, the gameplay: you will build a team of 3 units. One of these can also be a support unit, so grabbing a friend's unit or a stranger's, really helpful to push some content, especially story. In combat, characters will have access to a basic combo. Holding this button down, you will throw out a heavy attack. They also have 2 skills and an ultimate, and these will interact differently from unit to unit. You also have a dodge button that holds 2 charges that will refresh rather quickly. There's also a meter in the top right. When filled, you can hit the pop-up combo button, which will behave differently from character to character, but it's essentially the spam mode, as your stamina fill rate is increased as well, allowing you to just pump out the skills. As far as what you can do to enemies, there is an anomaly system that I really haven't learned much about. All I do know is it seems to be like Zenless Zone Zero's anomaly system. An icon will appear above enemies as you hit them with a particular element. Once filled, it'll clear and typically do some damage. There are some differences from type to type, like I believe water will freeze enemies as well, and if you then trigger this anomaly with a different element, you will overload them, causing additional damage. Enemies can also be broken, indicated if they have a yellow meter under their health, and this just stuns them briefly. As far as character progression, it's pretty straightforward. Units will have a level, up to 6 dupes, an upgradable weapon, skill levels, and ancient mark, which is a gear grid. So far, I don't really know where you farm more gear from. I assume once I've gotten deeper into some of the modes, maybe Infinite Multiverse, I'll be able to do so. So far, I've just gotten them as random one-time clear rewards. This is the biggest form of RNG in building characters, that they have random stats that can be changed to your choice, but so far only with a very rare material that looks like is only available in the Battle Pass currently, both on the free and paid track. Characters and weapons do also have skins, which range from earnable in-game and paid. Going over the modes available in the game currently, we have the main story, I believe 6 chapters worth, and this is encompassing basically 2 arcs of the story, pretty dang meaty and definitely a page turner. There are side stories that give a little more backstory on individual characters, classic resource stages. Thankfully, there is a skip function once you've gotten 3 stars in a stage, which is pretty easy with support units. Under EX, we have character tutorials to teach you about individual characters. Head Librarian's Authority is basically tutorials on some gimmicks of the game. Brute Force are a series of waves of enemies that you have to clear as fast as possible. At the start, you will also pick out some buffs, but primarily some debuffs to increase your score multiplier. Echoes of the Past grant one-time clear rewards for beating bosses you've come across in the story with different difficulties. According to the game, these bosses will gain some new moves as difficulty increases, so that's neat. Under Explore, we have Tome of Fate, which is the game's roguelike mode. Pretty neat and pretty fun, but nothing too notable about it really jumped at me. Then Infinite Multiverse, which seems to be more like Hoyo Game's endgame, which is do some stages as fast as possible. Overall, the meat of the modes seem to be story with just how massive it is. Everything else is relatively low maintenance. Getting into the gacha, the rates are a little confusing. 5 stars have a base chance of 1%, which is pretty damn low. On rate ups, the rate up will take 70% of the rate, so it's a 70-30 split. And if you pull a non-rate up, your next 5 star will be the rate up character. Also, for every 5 rolls, after you've hit 40, the 5-star base rate will slowly increase. It seems to be up to the total chance displayed, which is 2.18% at cap. A 5-star is guaranteed at 70 pulls and weapons at 50. Speaking of weapon banners, they will follow similar patterns with some slight adjustments like the rates. I won't get into it, but I will say that non-limited time weapons are earnable over time in game. For our launch banners, we have the permanent pool, which does let you select a 5-star after 30 pulls. After that, you will slowly work towards your next selector at 300. A standard weapon pool, which you get to select what 5-star weapon to pull. Overall, I'd say skip this. There's a limited time banner with discounted pulls and will eventually guarantee a standard unit of your pick, but it uses the limited time tickets rather than the standard banner tickets, so this is just whale bait. Then we have our limited time banners, which everyone is used to. It looks like these will go on for about 3 to 4 weeks. I did read somewhere the pity will carry over to future banners like Hoyo games, but I don't see it written in the game, so take that with a grain of salt. Overall, I think the rates are pretty horrendous, but only time will tell how generous the limited pulls will be. Speaking of generosity, let's take a look at the events. This page includes quite a bit, including some shortcuts to game modes, character trials, and events themselves, which so far are just varying reward tracks. The big one is the 5-star weapon selector, which does include limited time weapons, even the weapon for the next limited time banner. My favorite though is the new guild leader privileges, which is spelled wrong. This just gives stamina every day, but more importantly it lets you completely reset a weapon, giving all of your resources back, which is super nice to help you progress further, dumping all of your materials into what you have, and when you get a better weapon you can just get everything back. Unfortunately only available a couple more days as of recording this, but I hope to see it return with some frequency. Outside of these, there don't seem to be any gameplay related events just yet, but I think there's still plenty to play with for launch until it does drop. To wrap up, I'll just shoot through what's remaining on the home screen. We've got the Babel Tower in the top right. I won't click into it as it's kind of spoiler territory, but you have a dispatch system in there where you send out units for rewards and some other light base building type gimmicks. Those dispatches are also how you get some content in this quest tab at the bottom, which are so far some mini quests with one-time rewards. PE bonus is the battle pass, enough said there. The bird on the desk will give you one-time rewards based on account level, just like Hoyo games love to use. Bottom left icon gives you access to look at some stuff like achievements for titles and illustration to look at all kinds of info. Last I'd say is the store, which has a plethora of packs and some exchange shops. Most importantly, in the exchange shops are the Lost Time store. There's some monthly summons you can grab here with currency you get from pulling lower rarity stuff. And in token redemption in the Multiverse store, you can purchase those non-limited 5-star weapons, and it looks like maybe generic dupes as well. Then in Fate store, you can grab some RNG gear. Overall, I don't think I've got a lot of thoughts on this shop though. Nothing jumps out as egregious or incredibly generous. Lastly, I didn't know where to fit this, but I wanted to talk about technical issues. The game since launch has been riddled with bugs. I don't have much footage for it, but some people can't even play the game. My issues have ranged mostly from audio issues, but also some rather odd game-breaking bugs like shoving the camera into some random corner so I can't see anything going on. Outside of the multitude of bugs, we have the Google Play PC beta. Normally I wouldn't really talk about emulators, but there is no PC client. They advertise this on their website, and they actively make it difficult to use any other emulators by detecting them as anti-cheat. Currently in the Google Play emulator, they introduced this audio crackling bug after one of their updates, so the game hitches and stutters audio, especially noticeable in story scenes, and it's pretty awful. There's also no controller support yet, and the remap function, which you have to access through in-game settings, are fairly limited. I haven't really had to play a game exclusively on a keyboard since like Flash games back in the Newgrounds days, so it's not the best, and I think it's pretty unacceptable to release an action game these days without controller support. Fortunately, when playing on my phone, it does feel pretty good to control though. In conclusion, I think Black Beacon is pretty great. It might not sound like it based on that ending bit, but I do think it's really enjoyable. The combat is smooth, simple, fun, and rewarding. The story, I will reiterate, is pretty great. A bit drawn out for my liking at times, but it is genuinely told very well, from building out the setting and climax and from scene to scene. Although a rough start, I definitely think they're cooking something special here and can easily recommend people go out and give it a shot, especially once they patch up all the major bugs. Thanks everyone for watching. If there are certain things you think I didn't cover well enough, do make sure to let me know. Otherwise, as always, like, dislike, subscribe, or don't. See ya!